MVJ.
Hello out there, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 12 of the Michael vs. Jason Horrorcast, where we love to bicker, argue, and debate all things horror, mainly one movie chosen at the end of each episode by The Devil's Wheel, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And this week, we're dealing with one of the most polarizing movies probably in the last 20 years, where I think most people are on one side, but, you know,
I was gonna say, it's not very polarizing.
there are some people on the other side, but we're talking about 2022's Halloween Ends. And, it's going to get a little hot and heavy in here today, I have a feeling, as we go through this.
Right, you said rut-row.
Rut-row. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie, and it is a newer movie, we will spoil the shit out of it. Odds are you either seen it, you heard it, you know it, so it's pretty irrelevant. But
we might be saving you. You never know.
Or not. The second watch could be completely different. Third watch for some of us. But,
I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you likely saw it.
Yeah, I would assume so. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and you've already heard from companion 2 and 3 of the podcast here, Kirk and Jason. What's going on, gentlemen?
I'm just here so I don't get fined, so excited to get going.
Fair enough. Yes. So we're going to be getting into all things Halloween Ends very shortly. We're going to rate and review in our normal 5 acts like we always do. We'll be spinning that devil's wheel to see how I will lose again this week. That is coming up later. But before we get into any of that stuff, how we always like to start off our show.
It is Pardon the Terror time.
This is
All right,
scary.
so
All right.
this... Did you like that one? That's my
I
new
peed
intro.
myself a little bit.
I'm trying things out. All right, so this week is our second week in April, and what we do on our second week is we do rankings. So what we've been doing all year long is we got our top 50 horror movies all together. We're going to do 5 at a time. That's going to lead us directly into October and the Halloween season. We'll be doing our top 5. But today we're doing 35 through 31. So we're doing the April edition of our rankings.
And these are, once again, we always say it, but it's very important. This is not what we're saying is the greatest movies of all. These are the ones that we enjoy the most in that order. So once again, don't add us unless you just want to give us your stuff, because obviously you're going to disagree. Obviously there's some bad movies in there, but we love them. So
there's definitely some high-end movies, and the high-end movies are definitely going to be rated where probably they should. But overall, there's some probably pretty silly movies in here but we just love them. We enjoy them. So that's what we're doing right now. If we go by year, I'm at 2006. Mike is at 2004.
Never would have guessed
and
that.
Jason's at Yeah. I don't know how long it will last, but it is there now. And Jason's at 1991. Which sounds high.
I was going to say, I'm very proud of you, Jay, that you've actually averaged into the 90s.
I will drop today.
Stayed in the 90s.
I will probably drop in the 80s today.
I'm looking forward to it. And then something else I've been also tracking on this is repeats. So right now, me and Mike have linked up with 2 movies, Halloween Rob Zombie and When Evil Lurks. Me and Jason have yet to, foreshadowing a little bit, yet to connect up with any movies. But I might know of one coming up.
Obviously,
we're
all going to link up on some of these at some point in time.
But, for sure.
I don't think Jason's going to have When Evil Lurks or Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 in his top 50. So.
No, I don't think.
Definitely not When Evil Lurks. Where it looks.
Definitely not.
All right, so the order will go. Maybe your top 2000s, yeah. So the order we'll go this time is going to be me, Mike, Jason, because as it sits right now, I am winning because it's, I keep saying that and Mike keeps correcting me, but I'm going to say it because he keeps correcting me. Once you start something and somebody yells at you about it, you got to stick with your.
I mean, yes, that's what most 5-year-olds do. That is.
All right, so we're on the same page. So I don't see what the problem is. All right, so for me, my number 35, and this is a repeat, a connection with Jason finally. So this is 2000's American Psycho. So I think this movie is utterly unique. I think it is an all-time classic. Christian Bale is at peak performance in this movie, and I think everybody loves this. I think this should be on everybody's top 50 at some point, but it's American Psycho.
Well, Mike. Interesting. I'm going to go even more forward into the future, and I'm going to take us to the year of 2017. It was only 7 years ago, but there was a remake that happened that year, and I thought it was excellent. It was a part 1 of the remake, and I'm talking about It Chapter 1. What really puts this up for me is the original It is fantastic. It scared me as a child, at least the first part of it, not the end. But I think they made it better. I think they improved upon this. The casting is excellent. It's creepy at times, and they follow the story well. So coming in at number 35 for me from 2017 is It Chapter 1.
And I will say this before Jason goes. That is our third movie we've connected on.
Did you already have that on there?
I had that as I had it as 41st.
First 5,
that was my
right?
41st movie.
41st.
41. So
it's a little high on it. Yeah.
So here, I will do a pre, because for Kirk and I, because Kirk will eventually have this on the wheel, or not on the wheel, but on his rankings here.
Probably on the wheel at some point too.
No, we've already podcasted this. It was actually it was your first win. 1980's The Shining falls into my 35. I've only seen it a couple times when we watched it and podcasted it this past time. Like, it literally jumped probably 50, 60 spots just because I couldn't remember. And I'll be honest with you, I could probably watch this a few more times and it might even jump up even further. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Jack Nicholson was absolutely amazing in his role. Yes, it just was creepy as shit. The music was great. Everything about it was just legit. So 35 for me.
Here's Johnny.
Now. Nice. Oh, that was, here's Johnny. So that was 1980. So we're actually going to go up one more year to 1981 and we're going to do a little American Werewolf in London. That is. So that is my number 34. This is a classic of all classics. I really thought that I was going to have this ranked a little bit higher, towards maybe my top 15 or something, but there was just so much other stuff that just kind of like collaborated and took some of those spots away. And, like Kirk, you and I were talking about this before, like we probably did our top 50 100 times because we were just like putting things in different places. And then, I forgot about that. And then it like kind of jumped up. Well, this was unfortunately with this one, but this is a classic. So that was 34 for me.
It's one of those movies. It's got that one scene that everybody knows. It's one of those one-sceners everybody knows.
One of the best werewolf transformations, I think, in history too.
If not the
best.
I
think it's the best.
The best.
I just penalized that movie on the terrible ending. That's just what gets me on that movie is good movie, terrible ending. Although we could say that about a lot of movies.
I didn't think it was bad.
Well,
it's hard. It's hard to close out a movie. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times people don't land the ending? So, I mean, the creation of that transformation in 1981 is phenomenal.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Speaking of landing endings, that takes me to number 35, and it was the 34. Last, at least until now, of the Friday the 13th series as we know it, which is the remake from 2009. That is coming in at number 34 for me. I love this movie, and I'm ready to fight anybody that dislikes it. I think it's two movies in one. Kirk, I know you like the beginning, and you're not as big of a fan of the rest of it, but I love the beginning and the homage back in time. And then I love the story that they present and the characters and everything with just the modern day that they have. This is a movie that every 2 years I catch it in some, form, fashion, one way or another.
Yeah.
But yes, number 34 for me.
It's watchable. It's watchable.
I'm telling you this, the first 20, 30 minutes of that movie are excellent. It was on pace to be a top 15 type horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it fell back a little bit with the rest of the story, but still, I would put it, if I'm ranking just the Friday the 13th, it's going to be in that top 3 range. I don't know where I'd put it because I haven't done that in a while, but it would be up there. It'd be really far up there.
It is for me.
Top 6 for me, maybe.
How many are there? 12 total?
Yeah, 12.
Well, it depends. Do you consider Freddy versus Jason Friday the 13th as well? There's some other things in there, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's 12.
All right, so my number 34. So my number 34 is from 1987, pulling my years down a little bit, but it is the original Hellraiser. So I love the Hellraiser series. The first 2 are masterpieces to me. It kind of tails off from there and gets a little weird. This last one through Peacock. What was that? Was that Peacock that did the last one?
Peacock.
What was that?
No,
I thought the last one was great too, but it's a total reimagining of Hellraiser. Hulu.
Yeah,
You're right.
Hulu,
It was
Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah.
It
was a totally reimagining. Yeah, that one was very, very good. But I put the original Hellraiser, the Doug Bradley Hellraiser that set it all off, as number 34.
Can I just say that I love that you said after part 2 is where it really starts to get weird, as if it doesn't start.
Dude, it was
really
weird from the first one.
Yeah.
But hey,
no,
you know what?
So I think it's in the third or fourth one. There's a guy who has CDs. He's shooting CDs at people.
That's the third one.
It's the So I knew. I'm like, okay.
One.
Then there's one where the building is the box, and it just gets weird. There's a found footage one, Mike. You got to get on that found footage one.
I gotta see it.
Yeah.
All right. So my next one, since we're wrapping around here, is from 2017, bringing my years right back up. It is a Netflix original. It is The Ritual. And I think I will put their creature creation in The Ritual up against almost any movie in history. I think the creature that they created in that movie was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It looked, I know it was a lot of CGI, but they practicaled it when they could with the hands coming in through the door. And if you have not seen that movie, I won't spoil it, but it is very
It's going to end
good.
up on the wheel at some point in time. I think I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. I don't fully remember everything, but I like the story.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
Well, they'll say number 33 for me. Another Rob Zombie film. We're going with Rob Zombie here. A movie that I love, part of the Firefly trilogy, The Devil's Rejects, which is an extremely violent movie. This one is from 2005. So I had to double check my numbers there. But I think this is actually outside of this is probably my favorite Rob Zombie horror movie that he's had is The Devil's Rejects. I mean, you
can glance up the top of your list and you can tell us right now.
Well, yeah, so. I mean,
is there any other Rob Zombie
maybe there is
movies on
more
there?
up there, but no, I love I love this and just how brutally honest it is and how it's just unforgiving kind of start to finish. And I definitely think after this one, the last one, I can't remember the name of the last one all of a sudden, from the Firefly trilogy.
Three from Hell.
Three from Hell. Yeah,
Three from Hell.
It was such a letdown because of The Devil's Rejects, right?
Yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses built it up. Then all of a sudden you have Devil's Rejects, and then Three from Hell brought it down. But that's right.
Well, it didn't
a
help
movie I
that
need to
Sid
revisit.
Haig
I probably haven't seen it since
passed away
2007.
during that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting old.
Yeah. So that.
What do you got,
kinda
Jason?
Took him out. 33, right? Here we go. So 1985.
33.
Yes. Oh, 33. My bad. Reanimator.
Yep.
From 1985. This is my 33. Little Lovecraftian horror here, which this is a classic of all classic. With one of the best beheading scenes of all time. So I love that movie.
So a lot of great scenes in that movie.
A lot of great scenes in it. It's got our Barbara Crampton in it too, which is, even better there for you. So Reanimator. And I know I keep taking it on, putting it off, taking it on the wheel, but eventually we're gonna get this win. And then 32. So we're going to 1984. And we're going to go during Christmas time. It's a Christmas movie with Gremlins. Yes, Gremlins. I love
it's a
Gremlins.
Good movie.
I'm surprised you think it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
I've always said that this was a horror movie.
You're very inconsistent in your elements.
I've always said that this one has been a horror movie.
I love
but
Gremlins is a great movie.
Yeah, it's awesome. Gremlins 3 is set to come out next year, as I was reading the other day. So excited to see what happens with that. Supposedly supposed to be on an airplane. I don't know. But we'll find out. But yes, I thought so. But 1984 Gremlins.
Should put them in space. Gremlins in space or something.
Space. That would be great.
I mean, what movie have they not put in Christmas. Space?
Right?
That's fair.
But that was 32 for me.
All right.
Mike, what you got?
So number 32. Now there's an old version, which is fantastic, from 1978. But there's a newer one from 2010. And to be honest with you, it was tough for me of which one I wanted to put on because I think they're both great. But I'm going with the 2010. Don't say shocker. But we actually reviewed this season 2, episode 38, which was number 98. But I Spit on Your Grave from 2010. This is kind of obviously it's very hard to watch, the whole premise of the film. The reason I think I put the remake up over the original is, the original, they pushed the boundaries a lot, but in the remake one, I think they knocked it up a level. And the fact that I like it just as much or a little bit more after really enjoying the first one, I think, this one just goes a little bit higher. So from 2010, I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah, just like a lot of your movies, it's probably since 2011 that I saw this movie. It's something I need to revisit. Like The Devil's Rejects, I need to go back and probably revisit again. There's just so many movies that get mixed out of your normal loop of movies. You know what I mean? And that's one of them that I need to get back into. So, all right. So this takes me to 32. And if we're doing Christmas movies, this is my Christmas movie. So it is Rare Exports from 2010, A Christmas Tale. And I think that movie is just as fun as it comes to watch, as creative as an idea as there is. But I just love it. Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. I think it's a Norwegian movie. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a Norwegian movie, but it is just creative as hell. The concept is great. If you haven't seen it, it is definitely worth a watch. You look at the cover art; it does not look like a horror movie. It looks like a Christmas movie. I don't know how else to say it.
And at times that's kind of what it is. It's just a Christmas movie. So I like Rare Exports, and I think we did that on the podcast as well.
Have you guys podcasted that one as well? Rare Exports.
We did.
Such a good movie.
We did.
I wish you hadn't. Yeah. Wish you hadn't. All right, so this takes us to 31 and last that we've done. So I guess I'll go first. So the last one we have of this week of April, and it's another repeat. So Jason, me and you are connecting on another movie this time. Woo-hoo. I didn't know this one. This was not what you said it during this one. So you just said it, Reanimator from 1985. Oh,
wow.
I put it on there.
First.
It is... Jeffrey Combs is amazing. The beheading scene, just everything Jason said. Like it's an all-time classic. It's one of those movies you just watch over and over and over again. It's funny sometimes, it's scary sometimes, it's creepy sometimes. It's a really good movie, and I love it. I love Jeffrey Combs in his heyday in the mid-80s.
Can I share a secret with you guys? I've never fully watched Reanimator in my life.
What? You will.
I know I need to, but I know
13 Ghosts and now Reanimator. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Listen, I hadn't watched The Thing before we started this podcast, but I watch 300 really bad ones every single year, so it makes you wonder what I'm doing with my life. But
I was like, I don't.
No shit.
I don't know if you
Get
know
into
what
the 80s.
horror is.
Sometimes I question it as well. Well,
So what's your 31?
coming in at number 31 is another movie we podcasted, and all mine have been in the 2000s so far, but I'm going to take us back to 1986. And we did this on season 2, episode 42, which was number 102. A lot of twos there. But the original Hitcher, The Hitcher, with Rutger Hauer. This is anybody that picked up a hitchhiker after this movie came out. I mean, this is just one of those movies that stays with you. And Rutger Hauer, his eyes, like everything is just fantastic. And even though this is a little overboard at times, I just love the feel of this movie and just the creepiness of it as well. So, that's what.
Anything with Rutger Hauer, sign me up.
Yeah.
I think he is absolutely excellent. But this is
phenomenal.
a movie. I know what it is, and I kind of have an idea of the movies, but I've never seen
The remake's really good too, but I really like the original here.
Well, Rutger Hauer.
The remake's okay.
He's excellent.
The original one is a classic of all
It's a
classics.
classic.
Yeah, you got to definitely watch that one. It's a good one, Kurt. All right, 31 for me. We're going to go in time 20 years to 2011. And we're going to take a trip to the cabin in the woods. This is actually one of my favorites. I really, really wish they would do like some spinoffs of like all the monsters that they have
so easy
in this
if they
thing.
would.
It would be, just leave the merman alone. But like some of these other ones that are in there, I think that'd be kind of fun to check out. But I mean, it's just Mike, you talked about earlier with, what was it? Whatever movie you had, there's like 2 different movies, and this is like 2 different movies too. They go to this cabin, and then it's like chaos ensues, and then it's like, what the hell happened?
Well, and it's
so
and
good.
it's over. It's like funny in certain avenues, but they do everything so cliche, but it.
Yeah,
That's why he likes it. It is a 1980s movie in 2000.
Yeah, but the way they do it is so genius. It's honestly
Yes.
a very
You're
genius
so right.
movie.
Ronald Prevost, you are so correct.
Nobody's going to understand what that is until later.
Just your name on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our 35 to 31 of the rankings. So
Let's see. That takes me to 2005. I still have a slight lead over Mike. He's at 2004. And Jason's almost to the 80s at 1990.
Damn. I thought for sure I was going to do it.
Me and Jason connected up on 2 movies this week. One I knew of, American Psycho. You did that at 45 a few months ago, and then Reanimator, which I didn't know I knew you'd eventually get the Reanimator, but we connected up on this one. So,
and we're the first to do it in the same 5.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Didn't we do Rob Zombie's Halloween in the same 5?
Oh yeah, you're right. I was
Did you guys?
30. I was 38. You were 36. So he's right.
But no, I mean, listen. As we get higher and higher, I think it has a chance of it happening more and more and more. But
I got a feeling The Shining's coming up at some point, so don't worry about that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely see that.
For me, I don't know about for Mike, but definitely for me. So
yeah,
I mean, 1980. Oof, was a long time ago. I got an 86 in there, so I was.
You got an 86 in there. You've got an 84 in there. You got an 87.
Oh, I got some. Listen,
there,
the 80s is still one of the best times for horror movies. So I mean, I make fun of it all the time because Jason hasn't left it. I'm just saying that that there are other movies past the 80s that are great, but the 80s was, I mean, for genre of horror, I don't think we'll ever have that again. So
I think the 80s created the genre that we still use today. A lot of those reoccurring things that sometimes annoy us is coming from the 80s. So yeah, for sure.
Well, guys, so it'll be exciting. Join us on the second week of next month. Hopefully you're joining us every week, but we will go through 30 through 26 will be our next, which that'll be the end of the first half.
That's crazy.
Our top so it'll be exciting. I'm enjoying this countdown. I'm enjoying to see where your heads are at. And nothing's surprising me so far. So I think
Nothing surprising, but it's given me a good list because there's some movies I want to go back and watch or rewatch or I haven't seen, and it gives me a good list to pull from.
I like it.
Yeah,
But now
definitely.
it is it's time to get into the main feature, guys, and a little Halloween Ends.
And now, on with the show.
Welcome back, and as we said at the beginning of the show, it's maybe the end is the beginning or the beginning is the end. I don't know, but it was Halloween Ends from 2022. It was the end of the Blumhouse trilogy, and it is
Maybe.
Blumhouse
might get it again.
I don't think Blumhouse is going to do it
did.
anymore. I mean, maybe they're all cash cows, but
Yeah,
right.
But
Blumhouse
Kirk.
isn't.
Well, Blumhouse is a cash cow, actually. But we can't really go on unless you give us a 30-second synopsis. And
I'm getting ready.
Boom, 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 boom. Next words out of your mouth. I start the clock.
Okay, 1 year after the events of Halloween Kills, Corey Covington kills a little boy. Then we fast forward 3 years into the future, where Corey Covington is the bullied kid in the whole town. The town's rotting. Everybody's pitting against everybody else. He gets bullied by band geeks, thrown over, meets Michael. Michael downloads evil into his head through his eyes, software download. Now, Corey is the killer, going around killing different people, trying to hook up with Andy. Chaos ensues. I said it. And then there's the final fight with
listen,
Laurie.
I'm so disappointed in you, Jay. Why are we so disappointed in Kirk?
I believe it's Corey Cunningham. Not Covington.
I'm so upset that you couldn't get the name right.
You're lucky I didn't call him Prevo, so whatever.
I mean, it was Corey Cunningham and Jason. I mean, it was just. I think we got to fail.
I'm trying to go
just
fast.
for
I
that.
make mistakes when I go
Boo
fast.
this man.
Better than that, I mean, you got it.
Was it worse or better than the actual movie? I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out.
That's a tough one. We'll find out.
Find out. I'm excited. But before we can get into the movie, we have to go
Behind the Scream.
All right. Halloween Ends, the 2022 American slasher film directed by David Gordon Green and co-written by Danny McBride, Paul Brad Logan, and Chris Bernier. It is the sequel to Halloween Kills, the 13th installment in the Halloween franchise, and the final film in the trilogy of sequels that started with the 2018 film, which directly follows the 1978 film. The film stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Matchak, Rohan Campbell, Will Patton, Kyle Lee Richards, and James Jude Courtney. Before the release of Halloween in 2018, McBride confirmed that he and Green had intended to pitch two films that should be shot back to back, but decided against it, waiting to see the reaction to the first film. Following the success of the first film in July 2019, the film's title was announced along with Halloween Kills. Green intended to give each film in the trilogy its own unique theme. Halloween Ends, of course, being a love story. John Carpenter described the film as a departure from its predecessors. After being delayed due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, principal photography took place in Georgia between January and March 2022, with reshoots taking place in mid-2022. Halloween Ends premiered at Beyond Fest in Los Angeles on October 11, 2022, and was theatrically released in the United States on October 14, 2022 by Universal Pictures. The film started streaming simultaneously on paid tiers of Peacock. It received mixed reviews from critics who criticized its focus on the new character Corey and generally deemed it a disappointing conclusion to the trilogy. The film grossed $105 million against a $33 million production budget, making it the lowest grossing of the trilogy of films by Green and the third highest grossing film in the franchise. IMDb rated this movie a 5 out of 10, and there are 15 kills in the installment.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
It still made over $100 million.
Well, the net profit
It's
was
fueled
over.
off of the
The
other
net
two.
profit was almost $70 million, and it's probably more than that because when you think about what Peacock had to pay to get the rights and all that
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff, I'd assume this film made over 100.
I mean, it's a Halloween movie,
Oh,
so
sure.
it's going to bring in money no matter what, just because it's a Michael Myers movie. Well, it's a Halloween movie, and
It's
it's a Corey movie, which everybody found out. But I mean, I don't know. We'll relook at this at the end. And all right, here's a challenge, guys. Like we've never done this one before. Before I go into the facts here, I got a challenge at the end of this episode. Before we do the wheel, let's go back and say like what we think the budget of or what this movie would have made in the theaters if they knew what happened in this movie ahead of time. So I'm curious on that. But 3 facts. I know Kirk will probably have some other ones too. I just went with some shorties. The Thing reference at the beginning of,
if you don't take mine.
Yeah, true. The Thing reference at the beginning, when Corey and Jeremy are watching The Thing, it's also taken from the original Halloween when Laurie is watching The Thing with Lindsay and Tommy Doyle. So I thought that was kind of cool. The last act, Allison was wearing what Laurie did in the original Halloween, which with the suspender things or whatever, or maybe it was the pants and the shirt. I can't remember, but it was something that she wore. And not including Rob Zombie 2's Halloween, this is the longest running Halloween movie ever at 111 minutes.
It's like an hour 50, right?
111 minutes.
Yeah, it was like an hour 50.
Yep. So those are the 3 facts I got.
41.
What you guys got?
Yeah, the only other one I got on top of those is this movie. The original pitch or the original idea for Halloween Ends was the continuation on that same night after Kills. Just continue the story right there, make it another Michael Myers slasher, and kind of go. With COVID hitting, it gave David Gordon Green and others time to rethink about it and probably overcook the idea. And then they came up with spreading it out 4 years later. The COVID virus was unique, so they had the idea of infection or rot, and that's what they tried to bring into this movie. So they steered away from their original game plan.
All right, well, guys, let's dive into this. And here at the MVJ Horrorcast, we like to use a 1 to 10 rating system, and we rate on 5 different acts. The 1 is as low as you can go in a category. That means it's terrible. 10 means it's a masterpiece over there. And let's just dive right into it. So the very first act is story beats. And Kirk, what does that mean?
Yeah, story beats are going to be what you exactly think it is. It's going to be your story, your concept, your different acts that are in the movie, anything that drives the narrative of this movie. That's what we're rating here.
So, Kirk, it's your movie. So why don't you kick us off here?
Yeah, so it is a Halloween movie, so I'm going to try to start off kind on all these categories. Try is the word. So the good. So I really like the concept of infection, of evil growing inside. I really like the idea of the town folding in on itself. That whole scene at the beginning. I thought the beginning intro was
that
excellent.
cold open is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then even past that, you get into the pumpkin scene, excellent. Then you get into, there's people that killed themselves with gun. Michael doesn't use guns. Somebody hung themselves. Somebody did. It's just the town folding in on itself. I love that idea. So I'm trying to be positive here. The negative is a 5-year-old wrote it or ChatGPT wrote it. Like the dialogue, the utter disrespect to Michael Myers, the pathway it took to get where it was trying to go felt like someone who has no idea writing a movie was writing a movie.
I disagree with the writing aspect of it. I do agree with
bad. The dialogue is bad.
I mean the major. What I will say is, I love this is like a reverse take of some of the old ones, and I gotta say, I actually now knowing what this movie's about, going into this the second time, I really appreciated this movie. And what I like about this is, think of all the other ones was the town really wasn't treating anything like it should be. And right. Laurie was the one overreacting. And now we have Laurie literally she's moved on with her life, but the town can't get over it. And the town, like you said, like was rotting, but the main characters had moved past it. And I think that's like an interesting flip on this. What they did with Michael Myers, I think, is atrocious. That's the failure of this movie.
That lives rent free in my head. What they did with Michael Myers.
And it felt like a sub story. in a sort of way, you know, kind of like what they wanted to do with Halloween 3, like kind of going somewhere else, and then like just like they're sprinkling a little Michael in the way. But like here's the thing. I know, Kirk, you talked about the infection and, you know, trying to absorb that was a stolen concept from Halloween 6, by the way. That's what they tried talking about when the neighbor was like, oh, poor little Michael, when he was a little boy, he got the evil in his eyes. And that's what was trying to happen to that girl's son throughout the entire movie.
They took a hard right turn in 6, though. It's like, nope, it was the Cult of Thor.
Yeah, but they still had that in there. So it was still like a storyline that was already being used. Here's the thing for me.
I think they started that idea better in Ends than they did in 6. I think they did a better
I think
job.
they 100% did. I'm just saying, though, they've already done this in the series at one point. Here, the big thing for me on this is I think it's so far off from the actual series. It parallels between Corey and Michael was pointless. It was pointless in the love story aspect to this. I think was completely pointless. Corey, to me too, this entire movie, he's getting his ass kicked by fucking band geek teenagers. And then all of a sudden can beat up Michael and take his mask. I mean, there's so much shit that's going on in this movie that just does not make fucking sense.
He got evil downloaded into him. You saw it.
It doesn't matter. It just didn't make sense.
He used Myers Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So I just want to go, because I've told you guys my thought, but I just want to say it out loud on the podcast. I think this movie, if they would have done this right at the very end, Michael would have been a figment of just Corey's imagination. And when Corey went into the sewer, he would have found Michael's mask, and he fell off the bridge, and he was literally he blacked out. He just turned into somebody more evil, and just and then at the end, Michael Myers is nowhere to be found, and he's just out there. And, I think if they would have done that, and you have this feeble Michael throughout, but he's not really there. It's really Corey just trying to be stronger than what he believes is the demon. I think if you do something like that, I think this movie hits a home run. Jay, I agree with you. I think this movie should have been called Haddonfield. And it should have been, it feels like the Halloween 3 where it should have been. And that's why I feel like Michael, I know it's not because Michael is part of it, but if they would have done where he's just a figment in Corey's head and it's called Haddonfield, you literally could have the basis not be Michael Myers. It's everything else. And I think it would have worked.
Here's the thing. This movie, I think we could diagnose, cut up, pitch a million different ways to fix it. I think there are so many different ways we could have fixed this, but I'm rating this on what they threw up on the stage right there. And it was a big chunk of turd on there. I mean, take outside the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes of this movie, which I was sat back in my chair. I was like, all right, we're in for something right now. I thought the dialogue felt very wooden. I did not buy the relationship between Corey and Andy Manichek, whatever Allison. I thought that was
really. I thought their relationship was great in this movie. No. I like that.
She's like a 9, and he's like a 4.5.
Yeah,
man.
but
he outkicked his coverage.
But trauma brings people together.
Yeah, I was going to say it was more the trauma between the two that brought them together. In this.
She's like a lone wolf. Her parents have been killed. She's They're trying. She was looking for somebody with trauma. I just, like I said, the ending to me is terrible. The third act is terrible in this movie, and the weak Michael, when they actually make it a weak Michael, I do like, though, Jay, you brought up the homage moments in it, but they have a couple more. Corey getting shot at the end is homage to Michael. They have Laurie sitting on the step with the gun, which is in the exact position that she was before. And even when Corey goes to kill his mom, they set it up in Halloween 2 where he kills the old people.
There was a ton of throwbacks in this movie.
You can say what you want about David Gordon. I think he did a really good job throughout this trilogy of the homage to the past.
Here's an example of why I don't think this movie works almost at all with all the characters. And it's the scene where they're trying to set up Laurie Strode trying to commit suicide. With her being all depressed. And it's for 2 movies, they set up a character that had PTSD, that had changed and has been irate. And now suddenly they want to even go her complete opposite direction and show her being pathetic. And but you know it's a twist because it has to be a twist because they've already set up the character. So it didn't work for me. And
she only did that to it wasn't to tease you. It was because she knew Corey was there and she wanted him.
The filmmakers did it. The filmmakers did it to tease us.
Yeah, but like
it was a setup twist.
It matches the story with Corey. I don't think there's anything wrong with that scene.
I don't think the writing. Yeah, I don't think the writing was bad. I just think that the overall concept could have been much better. I just think, like Mike, you said Haddonfield or something.
I disagree.
I don't know.
I think the dialogue was bad. I think the writing was bad. I like some of the concept ideas when it comes in infection and evil growing. There were some things I liked in here, but overall, I thought it was just very, very bad.
Well, let's hear your score on the story beats.
Yeah, so I took out some aggression on this one. I definitely truly believe, but I gave it a 2 out of 10. I don't think it worked for me. I like the concept in ways, but it missed on almost everything.
So I'll go second here. I'm a 4. So I'm just slightly below average. I'll be honest with you. If they did not make Michael so feeble, I'm a lot higher on this. But doing that to Michael Myers and the way they end it, like it just takes everything away from me. So that's literally those two things knock it down 6 points to me to a 4. Jay, where do you land?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm a 4 on this as well. And I'm a 4 mainly because I actually disagree with something you said earlier, Mike. I actually like the third act a little bit more in this just because of all the deaths, even though it wasn't, it was like, you don't know who the hell it was. Like I thought the death scenes, like at the end, they're like freaking awesome.
Well, no, I like the death, but I won't say it's not the third act. It's the ending. It's the actual ending.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm with you on
table, and them parading them and putting them in a wood chipper to be like, oh, we're gonna make this as final can be.
Yeah.
But you can't do that in a movie. What is Malika Akkad doing? Like he knows better. Mustafa wouldn't. And these are the producers. These are the guys that own the right to it. And Mustafa died years ago.
But they know they can bring it back
better.
in any way, shape, or form with a different.
And they will.
They are.
They
are.
Oh,
it's the TV
50
series.
years is coming up right around the corner. The 50-year anniversary is just a few years away.
All right. So let's get into act number 2, which we call the ARC. And ARC stands for Acting, Relatability, and Character Development. Jay, what do you think? Kick us off here.
Yeah, so basically for me here, I was not a big fan of the acting in this. I thought it was kind of like cookie cutter in a way. I think it was too cliche a lot. There's no relatability. I'm going to throw that out there real quick. But the one thing I will say with the character development, I think they try to create Corey's character. I think they failed at it though, just because he just got the love story that they tried putting together between him and Allison, I thought was absolutely awful. I just think that they could have kept that out of the story and did something else with it. I think it would have brought more of a deceitful version of him.
Yeah. So I don't think the love story is the problem. I think it's their execution of the love story. So I don't think you're 100% wrong. This movie is loaded with good actors. I think Andy Manichak is really good. James Jude Courtney's obviously excellent. Jamie Lee Curtis, I haven't liked her in this trilogy, but she's a very good actor. She knows what she's doing. I just don't think the actors really had anything to work with. I thought the dialogue in this movie was really, really bad, and it just didn't connect at all the right places. And it was a lot of head scratching. I don't think what they're saying is matching up with the people. So it just missed the boat on
disagree with you guys wholeheartedly. I think this is actually a strong point of the movie is,
the actors they're excellent actors. I mean, James Jude Courtney is the best Michael Myers.
He's the best Michael Myers, but he does nothing in this movie. So I don't really focus on James Jude Courtney at all.
Wasted.
I think
Andy Manichak. I
think Allison's character, Andy Manichak,
Will Patton was wasted in this movie.
I think Will Patton does great. I think this is actually a really good Jamie Lee Curtis movie. I don't like what they did with her in the first two. I love what they did with her here. Allison, I said this in Halloween Kills, like her arc throughout this entire thing is brilliant of how they take her. If you look at Halloween
It should have been
2018
brilliant. It
to
should
how
have
it
been
ends,
brilliant.
I think she's fantastic. I'll be honest with you. I really like the Corey Cunningham character. I think they did the first time I watched this, once again, I'm expecting Michael. I was upset.
Right.
Knowing what I know going into this and watching the Corey Cunningham arc of this, I thought they did a great job. And I think they actually do a really good character development of this kid, of where he was and how he was a wholesome. And, he's not like the all-American guy, but he was a kid with the future, and the town turned against him. And at every standpoint, it pushed him. I love it.
The idea of his character was cool. What you just explained there, I buy that.
Yeah.
But the actual execution of what they gave him was childish and weird. Like some of his phone calls were just like, "Your grandma."
Yeah, I don't like that. I thought that was stupid.
Just,
that line where,
but
I agree with you.
That's one of like 50 lines.
But it was more than
just
that.
Like
it was more than that. He didn't do much. Like he just did simple scenes, in my opinion. Like I don't think there was really anything that he had to like overact or anything like that. And like I just felt that the character could have done so much more with it. If they were going to put a focus on Corey throughout this entire movie like they did, they needed to do more with that. I'm sorry.
Listen, everybody has their opinions, right? Like mine just disagrees, but this movie was already built around kind of like the Corey and Allison dynamic. I don't think you can push it any more than what they already did.
Yeah.
I think he plays a
this movie should have been built
traumatized.
around
He plays a traumatized kid,
teen.
and he plays traumatized extremely well. And then I agree. Like all of a sudden, he does get evil downloaded in him, which is weird. I mean, I wish maybe there was a little bit more there, but like I like how all of a sudden Laurie Strode immediately looks in the eyes and knows. Like immediately, like there's like this sense. Like I just love that arc, and they make it make sense. I thought they did a great job with it.
I like of what you're saying, but I don't think they got us there in a good way. And I think that was the acting and the dialogue that brought us there. Like what you're saying, I'm like, yeah, when Jamie Lee Curtis saw him and connected with that, I was like, that could have been really, really cool. Yeah. But it just like getting us there and what she did, like, why did she visit the other mom? Like it didn't really go anywhere.
But first off, we never know what's on like a cutting room floor. This movie was an hour and 50 minutes, but like where they have like Corey standing outside, like she saw Michael Myers. Like, I mean, they dab it.
They tried.
They dab it a little bit great.
Yeah, but that doesn't go in the acting. That's just
that's his character development. Yes, it is. So I'm not talking about his acting here. I'm talking about the development.
His acting is standing there. He has to look foreboding. That's what he's doing, and he never come across as threatening.
Well, the problem is, with like a Michael Myers character or whatever, it's the villain, and Corey's turning into the villain, but you have him literally less than an hour ago as kind of like, the protagonist, and now he's the antagonist, right. Where Michael Myers from day one
he's the side character. We're focusing in on a side character.
But he's not. He is the main character of this movie. He is the main character. Allison and Laurie are the main characters of this movie, which last point I'll make, the part of the arc that I hate is the same thing from the story beats, is the Michael Myers character, and what they did to it is, once again, I will just keep using the word atrocious. Right. That is where this movie
actually
goes
was
wrong.
him.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mike, rate it.
Well, is it me or is it you, Jay? I think it starts with you, but I'll start. I give it a 6, and I know I'm going to be higher than you guys here, but I like all of the acting development for the most part. I just subtract because of what they did with Michael, and I feel like I could have subtracted more, but I think it's worth it. It's a 6 here for me. Jay, where are you?
I'm a little lower than you, actually 2 lower than you. I'm at a 4 again. I love the actors and actresses in this movie. Obviously, it's a good cast. I feel like they were, from what I wanted in this movie and what I was expecting in this movie, from coming from 2018 and Kills, I just felt like they all took the movie off. So that's just me, Kirk.
100% agree. The actual actors, if you just line them up and looked at pictures, this movie is loaded with quality people that you think would be able to make a great movie. I think Andy Manichek has been excellent in the trilogy. James Jude Courtney is the GOAT. Jamie Lee Curtis, I haven't really liked her character development over these 3 movies, but we all know she can act her ass. She knows Will Patton can act his ass off. All these people could have been very good. I just don't think they were given anything to do good with. So that's part of the acting, right? Like character development. I mean, the actual writing of this can hurt your acting. So I gave it a 3.
All right. So that takes us to the third act, which is visual appeal. Kirk, break it down.
Yeah, so your visual appeal is going to be your effects, your visuals, your cinematography, your gore, just anything that they throw up on the screen there. If it's practical, if it's CGI, if you like it, if you don't, if it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, whatever that may be, that is our visual appeal.
All right, so I'll kick us off with visual appeal. I think, Jay, you said something at the very beginning in the behind the screen of saying that David Gordon Green wanted a different feel and or whatever, and I feel there is a different feel and vibe to this, but I also feel like it does feel like it's part of the Halloween series, the way it's filmed, the look of the neighborhoods. I thought the visuals of that actually are really good.
The movie is shot excellent. Like David Gordon Green is a very good cinematographer. Worked with great effects on this. The gore, the effects, everything you see on the screen that they're throwing up there looks really, really good. There were some weird things that kind of stuck with me. Allison's ex-boyfriend looks like he's about 40 years older than she is. It just some kind of weird there.
Oh, the cop, yeah.
But
I don't know if that's in visual appeal though. I mean, he looked old because he probably was old. I think that's more like the arc, but it was weird. Like it was like, why is she?
He was acting fine.
Like,
it just,
she's
Maybe he had
like you said
trauma,
earlier.
too.
She's a 9. Like why is she going around? Like don't tell me there's not young people in this.
He's like a 55-year-old 4. Like you know what I mean? He's not even in her age group. It didn't connect. The sewer system they built down there looked really good. Just everything they built and did and practical effects looked really good. But the lasting effect or the lasting visual that just lives in my head after watching this movie is WrestleMania with Corey and Michael wrestling over that mask. Like that just crushes all the great work the visual and the cinematographers did throughout this whole movie. The pumpkin intro was excellent. The whole thing was excellent. It just, that wrestling match, it sticks there. And it's that lasting visual you see as you leave.
Yeah, I agree on that. But I will say this. I thought for the effects, I think a lot of the kills look pretty good in this. It was very, it was very clean compared to the first 2, in my opinion. But there were some like the what was it, Willie the Kid
falling out, Jeremy.
Yeah, Willie the Kid, you know, when he got his face bashed in and stuff like that.
Or the kid that dropped off at the intro.
Yeah. I mean, there were some like really good visuals with that. The cinematography I thought was very dark. I didn't really. I think the town, like they did the great job with how they do in all the Halloweens. Like they set it up with like, Halloween night, whatever, like with the wordings and things like that.
I loved it.
One thing I will say that I don't think was mentioned, I know, Kirk, you did mention the sewer system. I loved what they did in the sewer system, though, with how they had him, like, kind of like his face like just appearing,
lurking in the background,
lurking in the shadows and things like that. And I thought, like, okay, here we go. Now this takes me back to 1978, when he was lurking and things like that. And that's one of the things that you saw when he was like putting evil into Corey too.
Well, yeah, I will say one scene that is awesome is when the doctor and the nurse,
very cool
get
scene.
killed, and you have like the nurse hears something outside, and she like flips on the light, and you have Corey just sitting on the ground with his mask, just stabbing the doctor to death, and then like Michael comes in right behind her and stabs her through the wall. Once again, paying homage like to that scene. That whole thing, how it was shot, and like the look. To find that house with the pool in the like, everything is awesome about how that scene was. And I'll also say the blood looks great in this movie.
Yeah, the blood looks good. But
one thing that's kind of interesting about this movie that I kind of dug was you don't really truly know what era this was filmed at. That house felt like the 70s.
yeah.
The cars felt like the 80s, but they're all using cell phones. So it's, 2007 plus, but we all know it's 2022 because 2018 was 2018 and this is 4 years later.
Yeah.
So it's like they created this weird town vibe. And if you even look at Laurie's house, the next door house was a rotted, abandoned, looked like Myers' house. It wasn't because they said they tore that house down. But it's just like the aesthetic on this whole movie kind of made you uneasy because you couldn't really pin down what era this was, which I really liked. I think they did a very nice job with visual appeal.
yeah, I agree.
I like it. Well, let's rate this. So Jay, now it's your time to go first.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So far, this is my highest one. I gave visual appeal a 6. I felt like, they really did a great job here. Like Mike, you alluded to the fact that the blood was absolutely amazing in this. I think the kill scenes, I thought they had a lot of pretty good practical effects with those. I think, like I said, it was very clean compared to the first two, but it was very effective. So that's where I'm at as a 6.
Kirk, where do you land?
Yeah, so this one right here was my absolute hardest category or act to rate. I moved this number probably 10 times since I watched it on Tuesday to today, Sunday. I have no idea how to do it. So what I did finally is sit down, close my eyes, and thought about the lasting impression. And the lasting impression I had was the wrestle match with Michael. That is a visual I saw that actually happened. So I took it out pretty hard on this movie. I gave it a 4. That's not saying that the movie wasn't shot perfect. I thought it was done a lot well. But the lasting impression, what I leave with this movie, is that wrestling match. And I can't.
Well, I agree with one of you guys in score. And Kirk, it's not you. So Jay, I'm a 6 here too. I think this movie looks excellent. You know what? One of the lasting visuals I have, which Kirk, I agree with you. There's some lasting visuals, and that sewer scene pissed me off. I put that more in the arc. But one of the lasting visuals, they remove Michael's mask, and you have like these scraggly, like weird looking hair, like, and they do enough not to show his face, but it's like I don't know. It just it was like I didn't like that. So it ends up being a 6 for me here, which takes us to our fourth act of the evening here, which is sound design. And sound design can be broken down into a couple things. It's the audio dubbing, it's the score, it's the soundtrack, it's the sound effects, anything sound related that goes with this. What do we think about the sound design here?
Yeah. Even the worst Halloween there perfectly is has the perfect music. The sound design to this movie, that 80s synth vibe, the extra songs they made, Willie the Kid playing over and over again, obviously the Halloween score, home run.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how else to say anything else about a Halloween movie.
I agree with you. I think you get the Halloween score, you got the intro that they do to the movie. You got the 80s music throughout. Even the scene where Corey and Allison are at that bar hop and they're doing the song that they were playing during that, I thought was very like vibey and stuff like that. But the thing that I did like though more is like this one actually played the sound effects, I think, very well to the visuals. And I think there was a lot that they did with taking the main score out of it, but they brought back some of those old scores, like Laurie's theme and things like that. They kind of alluded in at times too, which I thought was brilliant.
I actually think the soundtrack, like not the score. I mean, obviously the score is just fine. There was a little less of the actual Halloween score, and they added a new one in, but I didn't dislike it. But the actual soundtrack is really fucking good in this movie. And my favorite one is when the DJ puts on the it's the guy talking over whatever, I can't remember obviously Corey goes crazy killing people during that time, or Michael Myers, however you want. But I think the soundtrack is good.
The score,
it's
the soundtrack that I really like. The created song for this movie is when they're riding on the bike together and they're talking about burning the town down, and it sounds like an 80s synth vibe, and she's kind of hanging over his shoulder. I was like, that was cool. That was dope. Really
good. The sound, I think the soundtrack is great. I just like at moments, and once again, this is where it feels like a Halloween 3. It feels like if this wasn't in the Halloween universe, I would be like, wow, great fucking score, all this
Mhm.
stuff. But then I put it in the Halloween universe and I go, like I'm missing a little bit of this, and I really like what they did here, but I get conflicting, thoughts in the noggin here
Yeah.
when it comes to that.
See, the thing is, it's kind of unfair because if you go and listen to Halloween Kills, sound design, score, and all that's like a 15 out of 10. Like the Kills killed it, was amazing. This is definitely a step down, but every movie out there on the planet is a step down from Kills, in my opinion. I think the and even 18. I thought 18 was amazing.
The intro,
what John Carpenter has.
the intro is better, and
so
in either of them it's great, but I think Kills is the best. And
yeah, for 100% agree. But the step down is still. Everything's a step down from what we got in Kills in 2018. I think what they did was amazing. They brought in John Carpenter and his son. They did an excellent job across these three movies.
So, Kirk, where do you rate sound design?
Yeah, even a bad Halloween movie, I'm still a 10 out of 10 when it comes to sound design. I think it's perfect. I loved every second of it. It definitely helped the movie for me.
All right, so I guess it comes to me next, and I'm a 7. So, and once again, the soundtrack is fantastic. I just knock it a little bit because at times it just doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. But then I think that's what I like about it is the more it distances itself and makes it its own movie, the more I like it more. So that's where I'm. Jay, where are you?
Yeah, I'm a little ahead of you and a little below Kirk, but I'm an 8. So, I mean, this is right up my alley. Obviously, we got the Halloween theme, but I love the 80s vibe, the 80s music, the synthesizers that they put in, taking some of that music back from the old thing. I thought it was really good.
All right, so one last category to go before I'm very interested in these scores. But our last act is Carnage. Jason, take us home.
Yes, so Carnage, this is where we have the meat and the potatoes of the film, basically. Are we having fun? We talked about the kills, the mayhem, and this movie, to me, I think it kind of brings that all together. I think this aspect, because we talked about this earlier in my behind the screen. There's 15 kills in this movie. So
it's a lot more.
It's a lot more than I remember too. But I mean, when you watch it, you kind of can count them 1 through 15. It's all there. And I mean, of course, it includes the 3 people that killed themselves, during the suicide scenes at the beginning. So that's obviously included in there as well. So that kind of, but I believe I still had some fun with this because, it does try to build a sub story, and you still. I think watching this compared to the first time I watched it, I picked up on some new things this time that I didn't the first time. Like when Michael stabs the police officer, you see him gyrating because he's starting to get that power and that energy back that he hasn't had in a long time. I missed that. So there's things like that I picked up like, oh, that's cool. But unfortunately, the fun came out of it because only those fun scenes were when Michael was in the movie. So that just kind of took back a little bit for me.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll push back against you here is I didn't think this movie's fun whatsoever. It was frustrating to me to watch. That being said, if I can close my eyes, think of this as not a Halloween movie, remove that whole thing from it. The junkyard scene I think was excellent. I like the blowtorch to the mouth, the stomping on the head is a very brutal scene. My boy Ron dies in it. That was my one death that really kind of hurt my feelings. I wanted Ron to make it through the movie. He was my favorite character. The death scenes, the action scenes at the doctor's house, what Mike brought up earlier, I thought was very, very good. And even having those two together, he had his own mask. You could see it in the shadows before she even turns on the light back on, that he's just giving him the business in his neck. I thought that scene was cool. And there's just a lot of really, really cool death scenes in it. They're not Michael, which hurts, but they are good scenes. I just through this movie, it wasn't very fun because it felt like a bait and switch.
I mean, and we talk about the 15 kills, Jay. You talk about the 3 at the beginning, but we also have like there's the drumstick through. I think the kid's name's Billy's eye. Like we don't see it ever. You see the aftermath of some of these deaths. I will say the blowtorch to the face was awesome,
cool.
and the DJ's head smash is the best kill of the movie. And then in the uncut, we actually see Darcy, the male girl from Joe Bob. She was the blonde assistant. She actually has a death scene. We just don't get to see it in, she was cut out of this.
I think in the uncut too, that blowtorch scene's a little bit more graphic as well.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, the cold open, that kid falling,
excellent,
such a great, like, that to me is worth like 3 kills. And like he bends backwards and they like show like him, like it's just this, it's like a half a second scene, but it's like,
and you want that kid to die, and he dies.
You do, like,
and it's like that was a payoff that I needed.
I mean, you see the parents walking in, and you're just like, I mean,
I'll kill you.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
all set up so perfectly. I agree with you, Kirk. I don't think this movie's fun. At moments, there's like, I remember when I first watched it, of like, it's going to get going. But there comes a point in the movie, especially when I watched it the first time, where I realized what it was, and I got pissed.
Yeah.
Like I said, watching it this second time, knowing what it was going in, I had a completely just different vision, and different image going in. And it helped. Honestly, it helped drastically for me watching this movie and appreciating and seeing all the things that I missed before. And I found it more entertaining. I don't know, I'd say fun, but entertaining, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man. I hope I catch up to you one day. Like, I truly do. Like, the Halloween 3, I liked it from day one, seeing it, and I know a lot of people did not. It had to grow on them. This movie, maybe it will grow on me. It hasn't so far. I've watched it. I think this is the 3rd time, because I watched it when me and you went to the theater, and then I watched it the next day, and I haven't watched it since.
I was with you guys.
I watched it a couple days ago. So
yeah, you were there. It was back
you
when he was still
too.
down here.
Yes,
because then we talked for about
things.
9 hours on the street corner after this.
Yes,
because
we were all
but
pissed.
Because we went through and rewrote this movie 12 different ways,
and they were all better. They were all better.
All better.
They were all better. Like, and we're not. Yes,
and that's where Mike.
There
that's
was,
where
there was
Mike's
a better
Haddonfield
movie inside this movie.
That's where Mike's Haddonfield was born.
Listen.
Yeah.
I feel like
He's stuck with us.
I would have knocked this out the fucking ballpark.
No shit.
It would have knocked it out of the ballpark, but it would have made me feel a lot better about this movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was clever.
It's kind of like,
okay, there's another one coming.
It's kind of like Mike with Halloween 3. He's like always said, it should have just been called Season of the Witch. This one should have been a little bit different on that end.
There are just certain movies where, like
called Haddonfield.
Like this. Well, I think Season of the Witch. The only difference between, which I agree with all the analogies, because I made it earlier, of the Halloween 3 to this makes a lot of sense. But Halloween 3 is just a good 80s horror movie that should have nothing to do with Halloween. This one, even if you call it Haddonfield, it has to do with Halloween, but take Michael out of it. Honestly, like, take him out of it.
Yeah, take him out of it.
And I think you have a good fucking movie. But
I disagree with you.
Let's get to Carnage.
3, so.
Let's get the rating. This comes to me first here. So for Carnage, I'm a 6. I like a lot of what is done. The kills look good. I just wish we saw more of it. And like I said, there's a lot of mayhem. There's a lot, but like a lot of the mayhem really happens in like a 15-minute sequence if you take away the opening scene. So for me, above average, it's a 6. Jay, I'll come to you next.
I'm with you. I'm a 6 as well here. I like, there's a lot of kills in this. The mayhem, it's sporadic. Like I said, I had fun at times. I didn't enjoy a lot of what was going on, but like when they did have Michael in there, it always got your blood boiling and, got the skin crawling and stuff like that. So it always made fun. So how about you, Kirk?
The goose pimples.
Goose pimples.
Yeah, so, I mean, for me, the goose pimples. The kills were up pretty high. The mayhem was, the actual death sequences in the doctor's house, in the junkyard, in the different areas where death actually had the kid falling. It was good, right? So I gave it a 6 as well. I was right there with you. Obviously, this movie had it should have been a much higher score. It just wasn't. I didn't have fun with this movie because the utter disrespect on one of my favorite characters.
So what'd you rate it?
I gave it a 6.
6. All right.
Yeah, we're all 3 6s.
6 to end this out. So while I'm tallying up these interesting scores, we have the ability to give it or take it away up to 10 bonus points. Where are you guys doing? So Jay is giving no bonus. I'm doing no bonus.
Kirk, how much are you taking away?
I'm doing a bonus. I am taking a full -10. The full just utter disrespect to Michael Myers. I couldn't. I wrestled with this one too, and the full disrespect to Michael Myers. You throw him up in a meat grinder. You can't do that to this character. It's one of those things you have to make an ambiguous ending, and this is not ambiguous. They threw him into a car destructor chewer thing. That body is gonzo, which I did not appreciate. And there were many more disrespects to that character, and I didn't like it.
All right, so the way we score this is I'm a 29 out of 50, which equals a 5.8, which if you would have talked to me after I got out of the movie theater, it was going to be a 2, maybe a 3. I really appreciated this, watching this time. Once again, knowing because it takes that I'm pissed off Michael's not in it factor out of it. Yeah. And I appreciated the movie for what it was. And realistically, if they would have went with my idea or just had something where like they didn't do, I think it would have been a 7.5 or something up there, an 8. Like, honestly, I like what they did with the movie, just not how they did it. So
if they would have done what you would have done, my -10 for bonus would have been gone. The story would have gone up 2 or 3 points. Visual appeal would have gone up 2 to 3 points. Like, this would have greatly, like, I'm talking price 6.5.
I think it's up there. And then we look at this trilogy, and I don't think it could ever be touched because 1 and 2 were amazing. But Jay, you were slightly below me. You're at 28 out of 50. So you're only technically it's a 5.6. So you're a 0.2 behind me here. But I'd say that's higher than probably when you left the theater as well.
By far, and I'll be honest with you, it was more the second part of our ratings, between the sound carnage and visual appeal that saved this movie for me, because I think the story and the characters and stuff like that were far out.
So, Kirk, for you started at a 25 out of 50, which is a 5.0. We then subtract the 10, which takes you to a 4.0 on there. So, do you find yourself higher or lower from when you originally saw, or right on?
It's probably right on where I came out, maybe a touch higher. I might be, because like Jason just said, the carnage, the sound design, the visual appeal was definitely the best parts of this movie. I was a little bit harder on the visual appeal just because of that lasting memory of that wrestling match. But if you'd have gone back to 2022 in October when we watched this movie, I was ready to give this thing a 1 or a 2. Like, I was pretty pissed off about this movie walking out.
So, wait, before you close this out, remember, challenge. We're going to come back to the budget. So now that we've talked this through, we've seen this movie, everybody knows what this movie's about. The budget was $105 million. The film grossed, $105 million against $33 million.
The box office.
Yeah. So knowing what you know, not before the podcast, but knowing what you knew when we walked out of that theater in South Florida, would you think that this movie would still make 105?
I do. I 100% do. It's not necessarily about the quality of movie, but the IP is as quality of a horror IP as you can possibly own. And the thing is, word of mouth got out. Like, people knew that this movie had issues before it was released, and it still made over 100 million.
But what I would say is, first off, to exactly what Kirk said, it's a Halloween movie, and but the first 2 were fantastic.
Yeah.
This third one, I think the negative press actually helps, because people go out and go, let me be the judge of this. Like, let me still see this for myself.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me.
The movie
was a little bit, but not myself.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say that I would have thought it would have made a little bit more, just because with the word of mouth and people be like, wait a minute, no, I got to see that and get my opinion and things like that. I thought it would have done a little bit more personally, but That's where I was at with it.
See the screenings that happened prior to the movie, and there was a lot of screening, and like 3C, who's a YouTube channel, and We Watch Movies is another. They got a lot of back end stuff, and the reshoots of this movie, the recreation of this movie. Like I think that final scene where he comes in, cracks Corey's neck, and then they have that final fight. I think that was all reshot way later after the fact. The movie was something different, and they rearranged it after their first showings that they gave to people.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the pandemic happened, right? It gave a lot of time people to think about things, and for better or for worse. I'm sure there are things that ended up better than the original, and there are things that just ended up worse. But at the end of the day, the movie is what we have. I still think, from a trilogy, if we take any just 3 movies of any snapshot in time, name a better 3 that might be beating this. You know what I mean? I know you can say Halloween 1, 2, and 3,
tough.
but part 3 is not really, in my opinion, that. You know what I mean? 1 and 2 are, but
yeah. 1, 2, 3 would be my favorite. I mean, this trilogy was excellent. There were some definite creative decisions that I didn't like, but overall, a lot of the things they did hit for me. A lot. Kills has just aged like fine wine. More I watch it, the more I like it. Same thing with 18. This movie, I would like to see it improve over time as well. But as of right now, there's still too many hurt feelings.
It's too soon. # too soon.
Too soon.
All right. Well, listen, that is Halloween Ends, and we got to move forward. And now it's time to go to next week and see what we'll be reviewing next and take a ride on the Devils.
Devil's Wheel.
All right, for our Devil's Wheel portion of events, what we like to do is put 11 slots on a wheel. We spin it, whatever it lands on, that is the movie that we watch the following week. But before we can spin it, we need to discuss what the 11 slots are. So basically, each week, each of us take 3 movies. 2 can be anything. 1 has to be a movie that we have never seen before, and we put those on the wheel. We have 1 slot that is the Devil's Pick, which if it lands on, it goes to a random movie that we have to watch as long as we haven't seen it before. And then the last slot, something new we're doing this year, is the winner of the previous month. It's kind of like a little, little trophy. They get an extra slot on the wheel, which has actually helped Jason and has helped the Devil in each of the months that has been on there. So far this month, Kirk is up 1-0 with his Halloween Ends. I think Jay is at 6.
It's 6. Me and the Devil at 3. And are you playing?
I got 1. I don't know how it happened. Something mischievous happened.
Which movie was it?
To be honest with you,
Stranger's
I don't even
Prey,
fucking
right?
remember. Oh, yeah, Stranger's Prey. Okay, that's cool.
Strange-
You could have told me it was one of your movies and just told me I had 0. I'd still believe you. So,
Yes.
All right. So, Kirk, we're going to come to you first. What are your movies on the wheel? Because you were the only one obligated to make a change.
I made a change last week too, and I was tempting the Devil because I knew Halloween Ends would be picked. I had that gut feeling. This week, I'm sticking with The Empty Man 2020. I have not seen that movie. Evil Dead 2013, sticking with that one. But my replacement is The Ritual from 2017. I actually put that in my top 50 countdown today too, as well. And I think Mike alluded to that's going on the wheel soon, and it is.
And it's on there now. Jay, what are your 3?
All right, so I actually made some changes this week too. I figured, you know what, I need to get back in the winner's circle, so maybe I can tempt the Devil myself. But I did keep Chud from 1984 on here. I added from 1981 Hell Night, and also I changed the movie that I hadn't seen yet. So there's a movie also from 1981 called Graduation Day that pops up all the time, and I've never seen it, so why not?
I mean, you got Graduation Day, Hell Night, and then
Chud.
just Chud. I thought you could have like a
And Chud.
Chud brunch. All right, so my 3 movies, same as last week. So 13 Ghosts is from 2001, I believe, and I've never seen it. I'm embarrassed. Let me just Stop being embarrassed.
You should be.
Elliot, listener request out there, taking of Deborah Logan from 2014. Best of luck. You chose the wrong guy to put this on. And then Splinter, I think, is from 2008. Those are my 3 for this week. So all that's left to do is spin the wheel, which it is spinning.
Let's go.
Let's see how close I will come to not winning this week.
You were not close last week.
I was not close. But guess what, guys? I still didn't win this
won?
week, which means it's down to you guys or the devil. Kirk, it is not you either. We are going to be doing a little
cannibal humanoid under
It's
developed-
cannibalistic,
what is it
cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
I will say this is one click away from the ritual. That's where it was.
that'd
And
be
on the
good.
right side of it was taking of Deborah Logan. So I'm at least somewhere near a win.
But I tempted
yeah.
I tempted the devil
Should've
this
just
week,
shaken
just
that
like
thing
Kirk
one
did
little
last
bit.
week, and I'm back in the winner's circle. With number
But it
7.
came up with Chud. You've had Chud up there for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Chud's been on there for a while. What year's Chud from?
1984.
1984. So, all right. Well, we will reconvene in 7 days. Same bad time, same bad channel, and we will dive into all things Chud for episode 13 of season 4. But for episode 158, which is this week, we are done. And whether you've been rocking with us,
It ends.
It does. It ends.
It ended.
Whether it is you've been rocking with us for just a few episodes or for all 158 so far, we greatly appreciate it. As always, there's many ways that you can talk to us throughout the week. We want to know what your top 50 of all time are. We want more movies to throw on the wheel so that Jason and Kirk can win for you. And maybe Elliot will just have to pass you along because I'm not winning shit. But you can find us on Instagram at MVJ Horrorcast. We have a YouTube page, over 1,000 subscribers now for MVJ Horrorcast. So go on there. There's literally hundreds of videos that you can watch. Easiest way to do business with us is our MVJ Horrorcast Facebook group. I think we're around 800 subscribers there now as well.
Just over.
Yeah, and we're always posting things on there, but we love to interact. That's the easiest way. Or you can just email us directly at mvjhorrorcast@yahoo.com, anything that you want. But once again, we just appreciate that you're listening and that you're tuning in. Please tell somebody else about us. If you have Apple Podcasts, go in there, give us a 5-star review. If not, act like I never mentioned it. And but listen, Halloween might be ending, but as of right now, we are halfway to Halloween. So I think it's just beginning. We are now in that that stretch. Get there. So get your head up out the sewer for Chud next week, and we will see you next time.